Hello. What is up, everybody? How's it going? All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write a little bit of a technical document because I want you guys to fully understand what problem we're trying to solve with this and seeing exactly what we can get out of it. The main problem that we kind of want to look at here is that we have multiple cloud providers that have resources, permissions, and users, but no way of identifying what kind of access is granted to them. We need a solution that can look at all of our cloud providers. So what does that mean? That means AWS, and for us, it means Azure. Problems we're trying to solve here is more of like a global thing. Maybe we don't allow specific types of grant to be set. Management controls around revoking access to over granted permissions, right? Could be more things here. There could be a lot more things here. I have no idea. But these are at least the things that I think we need. This is really the problem that we're trying to solve here is we're trying to solve, being able to have good observability into our permissions across multiple clouds while also being able to alert on those permissions if we have situations where we don't want them to be there, as well as potentially even have management controls so that if we don't necessarily want to have to go all the way to that cloud provider or something like that, maybe it's a little easier for us. I actually have this problem right now. Let's even put that, we could say use cases, right? First one would just be plain and simple, I think yours. At a company where security was never fully considered, at a company where security wants to have its own observability into cloud resources being created and their permissions around it. This one is us because we're a small team. Literally, it's just myself. And we do things at like a pretty decent scale. So I think for me, this is one of the biggest ones, which is like, I need something that I can just plug and play, as I said before, and essentially get access to at least observability and all of these features. And so what we could do is we could even say, possible solutions. We really want something that's like easy to set up that we can just like jump into. This is why I wanted to show you guys these possible solutions, because this is the current sphere, right? Is again, paywalled with request demos, contact sales. When I go into, and again, this isn't just like a pitch. This is me being real. One of the biggest things, Azure brought to the table when they were showing us this product was how simple it should be to really use and at least allow yourself to get in through the door and start playing with. Main thing that we kind of got from them is like, basically, as long as you've got AWS, an AWS account and a GCP account or an Azure account, whatever, it knows how to, just go ahead and connect to those accounts for you so that you can get started. Meaning, if you already have an Azure account, you should be able to basically jump in and get started with this service. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the service. What we are going to be looking at today is something called Azure Permissions Management. So the TLDR, from what I have understood, is that Azure is trying to not only create more solutions for Azure itself, but really try and lean into the whole, well, what problems do developers have and what problems are they trying to solve and how can we help them? It's a permissions management solution that provides comprehensive visibility into permissions assigned to all entities. And this is basically what it looks like in a fun little graph where, you've got all these different cloud providers and all these different identity providers. And then basically permissions management just pulls them all in. So we're going to click on the permissions management. We're going to click on that, go to permissions management. Bam. You must have a license to enter permissions management. Well, we were aware of this. So again, when we go back to the comparisons of CrowdStrike, Sunrise, BeyondTrust, CyberArk, Prisma, Orca, Wiz, and we compare it to just how quickly we can get started, this is a big reason as to why I was super interested in permissions management, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this try permissions management link. So the first thing it has us do is it says, hey, Microsoft Entra permissions management trial, start your 90-day free trial. Okay, there we go. We've got our confirmation number and our order. So it looks like I should have permissions management. I've got a 90-day subscription with about 100 licenses. That simple to create a trial. That simple, okay? So I'm just going to close out of this. I think we're done with billing stuff and me almost doxing myself. So let's refresh this page now and see what happens. Yeah, let's go. Dude, we're in, baby. We're in. So we are now officially in, and I think what it looks like is we're looking at data collectors at the moment. Now we want to configure data collection center or settings. So we've set up our own permissions management system or whatever. Now what we want to do is we want to get data into it, right? We want to actually start collecting data. Select Azure and then create configuration. All right, so you see this right here? Create configurations. I clicked on that and it says manage authorization systems. So basically you can either enter a system, you can select authorize one, or you can just automatically manage. So when we set up our data collection, we're going to enter authorization systems. We're going to give the subscription we want to manage by adding the ID. We've only got one that we want to manage. And then we need to, via Azure command line, create a role reader for that subscription, just like it says here, right? Enable reader role has been granted to the cloud infrastructure and title management application for the subscription. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to paste this in. We now have that role granted. So now we click next. Okay, and so here we go. Review and confirm, review all of your information to start data collection authorization systems, and then we'll do verify now and save. Successfully created. Hey, look at that, chat. There we go. Right now, we're just waiting for it to process. Yo, look at this. Very cool. Okay. We got a permissions creep index. So we've got 13 identities. 3 of them are high risk, and then 10 of them are low risk. I don't know. Let's just start like clicking around. So we've got authorization systems. We've got Azure. What happens if I click on this? So our complete PCI is 78. We've got 14 interactive apps. So let's look at our interactive apps. Click on this. Oh, wow. Look at this. AltF4 Pulumi, Terraform Cloud, Quirk Dev, AltF4 basically a lot of the stuff that like we PIM. Wow, PIM's on here. Interesting. So this is really cool. This shows us like our server. So let's look at users. You don't have any inactive users. So that's nice. We don't have any inactive users. So our PCI is saying that AltF4 Pulumi and Terraform Cloud have the biggest PCI and they're currently inactive. Well, what might that mean if I have given granted access, but it's also showing here that they're inactive? That might mean that I've got 2 really high PCI rated service principals that literally do not need to be used anymore. It's already showing me things that I can get rid of. That's bonkers. Within what? 30 minutes, we already are doing not only global, right, but granular. We're getting granular already. I can see that I have 2 service principals here, at least in the Azure side of things, that we could get rid of. All right, so let's go back to here. Yeah, look at this. Interesting. So this group even, like I made a group that I didn't even know about. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty cool. Right, we can go through each type here. Like, okay, let's see if maybe we're worried about access keys. Oh yeah, okay, bam. There's 2 access keys that have got really high indexes. We can get rid of those, right? Like dashboard into analytics. I can definitely see that being the flow. I'm sorry, but if you don't see the value in this, you're dumb. Mediation, from what I can tell, looks a lot around setting up roles and policies and then attaching those roles and policies to existing entities within your system. So the next thing we're going to look at is reports. And I believe like the big ones that we care about are going to be dashboard for our permission creep, analytics for our like discovery and like looking into things. Autopilot will definitely help us with, you know, those automated changes that we want to make. Audit can help us with like more granular searching and stuff, but reports is really going to be where a lot of like what we called forensic data is going to exist. Well, we can go into our reports and we can start looking at these things. We can look at inactive identities and users. Again, there wasn't any other users. Okay, there's nothing we can do there. What about service principals? Well, as a matter of fact, there are 2 that have not been used in the past 90 days. Right then and there's an opportunity for us to drop our PCI across the board to be able to sit down and say, like, what can we guaranteeingly get rid of that we don't need and why we don't need it? This report's really empowering us to do that, which is awesome. What I want to do now is I want to connect Amazon and see how it looks when you're actually looking at, you know, 2 different cloud providers simultaneously. All right, and so here we go. So now we're going to review and confirm. All right, chat, moment of truth. Let's see if it works. So we're going to verify now and save. Bam. All right, we're online. We're onboarded. Okay, cool. So now let's go to dashboard. So we now have a permissions creep index across our whole Azure subscription. And if you notice, look at the findings it's found. We've got 14 inactive apps, 2 super apps, 1 super user, and 1 inactive group. So just in the Azure cloud that we run, there's already findings that it's finding for us. We connected AWS and then we saw, oh my gosh, AWS is actually worse. AWS has got a 96. I'm very impressed. My goal here was really to make it so that, you know, I could bring in my AWS and my Azure, have it like break down all of my permissions and stuff, and then make it so that, you know, I can easily see what I need to do. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today. This felt like a really easily approachable solution that I felt like we could back up. Like, this is something I would use for sure. This is 100% something I would use. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate you hanging out with me today. Sincerely.